Alright, so I hope you guys have already opened up PyCharm, and now what we're going to be doing is simply creating a new project to understand this concept. So what I'm going to do is click on File, click on New Project, and as always select our project folder, click on Open, put a forward slash, and finally type out the name of this project. So in this case, let's give it an appropriate name, call it function parameters, and click on Create. Once we do that, I'm going to create this in a new window, remove all the default code as always, and now let's just, well, create a function that takes in parameters and does something, right? So what does this function do? First off, I want to create a couple of variables. So I'm going to create first name equals input, enter your first name, and actually let's be a little more kind to the user. So let's say please enter your first name, and I'm just going to copy this, paste this right here, and instead of first name we're going to write last name. Input, please enter your last name. Yep, that was already right. And then let's create a function that basically just displays this text. So I'm going to create a new function called def display name, and well, here we're going to have some kind of a print statement, right? So let's understand how we're going to do this. So the function display name needs to take the first name and last name as an argument or as a parameter to then use it inside here, inside this thing right here. So let's just call this first comma second. So your parameters could be named anything. Your parameters literally could be named a comma b at this point. What's important as is that whenever you call this function display name, you type the first value that needs to go in first as the first parameter that you pass, and the second value as the second parameter that you pass. Now here inside the print statement, I'm simply going to write name is plus first plus second. Yeah. So basically it's just going to concatenate these two strings. It's going to be just a string because we are not typecasting this, right? And as we remember from the previous lessons, that the input function always takes an input in the string data type. So we're just going to leave it as it is, and then finally go ahead and call our function. So display name. And when I run this, it gives me an, oh wait, it still doesn't give me an error. So let me write my first name Yash, my last name Randive, and now it gives me an error, right? The error says type error, display name is missing two required positional arguments, first and second. This means that our function display name expects two parameters or two arguments basis on which it is actually working. So in this case, the first parameter is called first, but we want to pass first name as this parameter. So we write first name, comma, last name, because these are positional arguments, right? So that position is what is important. So in this case, this first name goes in place of first and last name goes in place of second. And now when I run this code right here, give the same inputs, Yash, Randive, and press enter, it gives me an output that says name, Yash, Randive. But in this case, again, this is not well formatted, so we'll just add a space here and a plus, and yep, now we should get the desired outcome. So again, Yash, Randive, and press enter, and now it says name, Yash, Randive. At the same time, just to change things up, what if I remove these arguments and first I put the last name and then I put the first name and give it the same input, that would be Yash and then Randive, and press enter. Now you can see that the argument that's called first holds my last name. That's why I have Randive here at the beginning of the string, concatenated with the space right here, and followed by my first name, which is Yash, which is now filled inside or stored inside the second parameter, or the parameter that is called second. or is positionally second. So this is how we create functions that have arguments or parameters and then use them. Always note and remember that whenever you're using functions with parameters or arguments, whenever you call them, they will always expect some kind of values at the position of those parameters. So you also need to keep the positions in mind, and you also obviously need to keep in mind that the function needs some kind of parameters or values in its definition whenever it is being called, if it already has parameters defined in its function definition right here. So this is it for this one. I would request you guys to move on to the next one where we learn about the return keyword, which actually makes more sense to learn about after we've already learned about function parameters, so that we can use function parameters and write functions that return certain values. And this is where I believe parameters come in a very, very important play, or play a very important part. So move on to the next one and make sure you're having fun while you're learning. Make sure you have some ideas of what kind of programs you can build for practice or as just small pet projects. Until then, just have fun, and I'll see you in the next one.